Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Happy Half Hour. And I promise we're going to still call it that because it's the Happy Half Hour presented to you by Deep Eddy. But if you wanted to sneak a little bit of that Deep Eddy into your nog tonight, I ain't going to get mad at you because, baby, it's cold outside. Stay warm. It is
freezing.
There is a lot going on. It is freezing in Charlotte, North Carolina. I have no interest in being outside in anything under about 45 degrees. So have pity on me. Be warm out there, everybody. Take care of your animals, take care of your plants, take care of your neighbors. There's my public service announcement for tonight, and I feel better about that because I wonder about the tone of the rest of this show.
Right. It could go a number of different ways right now, and it'll be a surprise to us and to you.
That's right.
Nobody will know.
That's right. We've got notes for this show. Look at all this. We'll get into all this later on, but this is the scrawlings of a lunatic who at about 1 o'clock this morning when we got back from New Orleans and started going through the debrief on all that one, I started going through playoff stuff, and we'll get to that in a second. But I guess to start with, we got to talk about one that got away from the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
That was not ideal. Your Carolina Panthers go to New Orleans, and it wasn't quite the stuff we've seen in New Orleans in the last couple of years, but it wasn't good either because you let a 10-point lead get away from you in the second half, and the Saints, unbelievably the Saints, you want to talk about playoffs, the best record in the division in NFC South games belongs to New Orleans, which has won 4 total games, but 3 of them in the division.
Yeah. It just is an insane statement to make. No other team has more than 2 wins in the division right now, and the Saints are the bottom team in the division. But that's just kind of how it feels like the NFC South is working this year. It's going to be a race to the finish, but we knew that. We knew that was going to be the case. As JC said today, he said what happened yesterday doesn't really change what's going to happen next Sunday. We were always going to have to beat the Bucs next week. He's like, that was always going to be the case. So that doesn't really change. It just changes what happens after that. Yeah. Week 17, week 18, things like that. And
honestly, if you weren't counting on this thing coming down to at Tampa in week 18, have you not been paying attention for the last 18 plus weeks?
The script has already been written, Darin. Duh. We knew it was coming down to this.
Yeah, but I haven't done the reading ahead to be prepared for what's coming. So,
but yeah, it's such a interesting vibe in the locker room right now. I don't know if I'd say weird. It's just very interesting because, obviously they are extremely upset with themselves about what happened yesterday. Mm-hmm. They feel like if a guy said it once today, he said it 1,000 times. We had that game won, and we let it slip away in really 2 drives. And they were talking about from the defensive point of view, but I guess you could kind of argue it's from the offensive point of view as well. You don't convert on the 3rd down or the 4th down on one drive, and then you punt on the next drive. So it was really 2 offensive drives, 2 defensive drives that changed the tone of that game, and they happened for the Panthers at the worst possible time. They're not going to want to see Chris Olave again for a long time. No. And but everything is still technically right there in front of them.
Right.
And they kind of knew that it was always going to come down to those 2 games with Tampa. I think they were just they're a little shocked right now that the road to get there happened the way it did.
There's a little bit of defense mechanism happening as well, friends. I mean, when you say, we knew it was always going to come down to Tampa, this one hurts. And this one hurts a lot of people because, to your point, they know they let one get away. A lot of the stuff they needed to do in this game, a lot of the stuff that didn't go right for them out here in Bank of America Stadium in Week 10 actually did go well early on. I mean, they did run the ball. They didn't run the ball for a ton of yards, but if you run for 31 times for 120-some, that's a good day's running. That's that sustainable running. You've heard me say it before. Dom Capers, when Anthony Johnson would go 28 times for 82 yards, he'd say, we ran with good tempo today. And that was just a Domism from early in the days. But that's kind of the way they ran. It wasn't big explosive stuff, but Bryce was getting out doing his thing. He was scrambling for some significant gains. Chuba and Rico were running well enough to keep things moving, to keep things opened up for play action. There were shots downfield that weren't there in the Saints game earlier this year, and it just all kind of unraveled in that fourth quarter. Right. I mean, in much the same way you saw them kind of respond after some of the disappointing losses earlier this year, including the Saints game when they came back and beat Atlanta the following week. They're counting on a little bit of that, but Canales said today, you don't want to count on being that reflexive. You want to be consistent. You want to do the same thing 2 weeks in a row. Just at this point in this team's education, growth, maturity, whatever phrase you want to put on it, they're not there yet, and they're still in the process of learning. So these are hard lessons, and they had to kind of wear that one walking out of there last night, and it was a long flight home, and it was cold when we got here. So it got everybody's attention, and that's why, because it's the Carolina Panthers, I fully expect a much better effort this week because that's just what they do.
Right. It swings one way than the other. But, I mean, to your point, it's still a growing team. There's a lot of talk about, like, what is this team going to be? And on one hand, you go, it's week 16. How do you not know yet? But I think this was always going to be a bigger picture build here. And obviously kind of being already in the playoff picture in year 2 under this staff and this system, I think when you step back and look at it, it does feel a little ahead of schedule. But obviously when you're in it, it's like, well, of course we want to win. We have a chance to make the playoffs. That's the goal for every team. But does it swing back the other way? We'll see. The consistency, or really the lack of consistency, is the biggest issue that comes up after these losses, because they know what it looks like when they play well, and they know what it looks like when they don't. So but to your point too, a lot of things were better yesterday. Like I actually thought Bryce moved the ball really well. He saw the field really well. He was getting out of the pocket really well, avoiding. I mean, that's a formidable pass rush. And I think Chase Young did get to him one time, but I think it was only once. Let me look. Yeah, it was just one sack. And that's a really good pass rush. So Bryce was moving well. He was moving out of the pocket. He was taking off when he needed to. He averaged 7 yards a run, and that's a pretty good number when you can do that. I think it was his second highest career rushing performance. The offense was moving well. It was just there were a couple of plays that didn't go well. Right. And then, of course, the penalties. We focused a lot on the penalties and how they affected things on the defensive side of the ball, which understandably so, because that kept the Saints' drives going and they scored, and then they won a walk-off field goal with a penalty as well. And so, but there were penalties on offense as well that kind of put them in bad situations, backed them up, forced them to punt. It was a penalty-heavy game yesterday. Right. And as Canales said, they all kind of popped up at once. Yeah. This was one of the least penalized, third least penalized team in the NFL going into yesterday, and but everything hit at once.
Yeah, and we could roll through a ton of stats, but again, if Carolina Panthers rushed 32 times. If Bryce Young hits 4 or 5 explosive plays downfield in the passing game, if you've got Bryce running for first downs, if the defense gets 5 sacks, because this is not a defense that's had a lot of big sack games. 6 was the season high against the Jets earlier this year. But to get 5 sacks down in New Orleans and do all those things, you'd think, all right, that works out pretty well. But that 11 penalties for 103, that's a killer. And he said it. He said it last night. First thing he said when he walked in the postgame presser, he was like, can't survive that when you're – the Carolina Panthers are on such a thin margin right now by virtue of being a young team, by virtue of being in the middle of that growth process, that they just can't afford that kind of stuff. And when they got into that situation, it began to snowball on them a little bit. And then you saw what Canales described as a disjointed effort defensively in the last little bit of that game. Then you saw them make play after play, and you could kind of see them blink a little bit. And that's what a young team's going to do. I mean, they are still very much in the process of trying to figure out how this all goes. And yesterday was a day when one got away from them, and it's going to be one that bothers them for a long, long time to come.
I mean, as it should. It should bother you. A point to make, as just an aside as well, is that it's very easy and understandable to look at the Saints' record.
Which is not good. 4-10.
But the second half of this season, really ever since they made that switch to Tyler Shuck, like this has kind of been a little bit of a different Saints team. They're scrappy. Jake Delhomme was talking about it before the game yesterday. He said the Saints locker room, because he lives in Louisiana, he's got a lot of friends there. He's saying the Saints locker room is like rejecting the word spoiler. that, Cam Jordan kind of told them, this is not about going to play spoiler. This is about going to win division games and showing that we can do that. And, I mean, like we said, they've done it better than any other team in the division so far. They've got more division wins than any other team. And so that's not at all to say, like, oh, the Panthers were always going to lose that game. They had it in their hands. They know it slipped away. But the Saints team is especially on offense, a lot better than I think they were getting some credit for. I mean, that group has really kind of rallied around Shuck as well, and he can play.
Yeah. And, I mean, it sets up this division. We talked about this last year after that Atlanta game, tail end of the year. We said, wow, with Michael Penix playing the way he did, getting in a shootout with Bryce, what's this division look like for the next 3-4 years? Now add Tyler Shuck to the mix, and all of a sudden the Saints look like they've got a guy they can do some business around. He's big, he's strong, he can move. He can obviously throw it around a little bit, especially the way you saw in those last 2 minutes of the game, moving it to Chris Olave in particular, and that's going to be problematic for people coming down the stretch. The Saints have always figured out the art of staying competitive, and sometimes that meant uglying up games. Sometimes that meant, pushing it when they were still in the Drew Brees era and always being aggressive with salary cap stuff and things like that to keep pushing the envelope to keep that team competitive. But they've managed to keep themselves in conversations for a long time. And, now if they've found him a quarterback that's on that rookie contract who's young-ish, even though he's 2 years older than Bryce, if you can keep doing those things, then all of a sudden it makes you interesting for the long term because they've been pretty stable down there.
Right.
And Mickey Loomis has done a good job of keeping teams together. So
could also say that about this Panthers team, though.
They are definitely moving in that direction. What's my favorite word for this season?
Normal.
That's right. This is becoming a normal football team that wins and loses games in normal ways, like committing too many penalties as they did yesterday. Yeah. But again, we don't want to dwell too much on that one. I'm going to be like Bryce. I'm super excited to move on to the next thing. It's been 24 hours ish. I don't know what time
Princely
it is.
said they get until 6:30 tonight. He said, I'm going to be honest, I'm still a little upset and mad about everything, but I can be mad about it, and then I got to flush it by 6:30 tonight.
Fair enough.
So he's going to be mad up till 6:29.
We will give Princely till 6:29. We hope he's in a good mood after that. So it's easy to get hung up on that one, but again, the most important thing is Carolina Panthers are still in the playoff chase going into Week 16 in the year of our Lord 2025. That is a sentence I don't think a lot of people thought was going to be said. And because I care about you, my happy half-hour family, you're like family here. You really are.
Which means, just like with family, you're about to bore us with something.
That's right. That's right. You sound like one of my kids. I have done the math, so you don't have to. And friends, you want to know how the Carolina Panthers go to the playoffs? It's all right here. And, Kassidy's sending me gifts of the guy from Always Sunny and his conspiracy board and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? My father, Donald Gant, God rest his soul, one of his favorite jokes, he used to tell me when I was in elementary school and get stumped on some math problems. Even then, I was a sports writer and didn't care for math. Don Gant looked at me and he said, you know what? Math's kind of like constipation. Sometimes you just got to work it out with a pencil. And that's a terrible joke that my father used to tell me and probably formed the kind of sense of humor I have to this day. So now you know who to thank.
I do love a good scratched-out research project, though.
That's right.
It was just cracking me up because you were doing this on the plane last night, and I was like, this is not convenient.
Yeah, somebody said, you could get a computer to do that for you, but I don't trust computers.
No, yeah, I'm with you. You want to see it yourself sometimes. You just want to look at it and know. If I can write something down, I remember it better.
That's right. The act of the writing makes it a little more tangible in my mind.
Yeah.
And the one thing, I mean, when there are basically 4 games. There's Panthers-Bucks twice, and then there's Panthers-Seahawks and Dolphins-Bucks. There are 16 combinations of ways those games can go that can kind of change. In 10 of them, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go to the playoffs. Boo. Everybody hates Tampa Bay. the big thing that is going to pivot all of this is this week's game here at Bank of America Stadium. Because if you lose to the Buccaneers Sunday, there's only one path for the Carolina Panthers to make the playoffs, and that involves beating the Seahawks, having the Dolphins beat the Bucs in Miami, and you never want to depend on other people, and then going to Tampa and winning in Week 18. It could be done, but it's one path among 8 possibilities, so you don't like your odds. There are 5
Have you seen
ways.
Endgame?
Yeah, it's
where
like
Doctor Strange.
That's right.
Is like,
it's not 14 million possibilities. It's just 8, but things are moving in the Panthers' direction if they are able to get that win at home on Sunday. Then things open up for them a little bit, and then you've got the opportunity to control a little bit of stuff. You need to beat Seattle. That would be very helpful because a common game, which becomes a tiebreaker.
did Seattle beat Tampa?
Tampa, hang on. Let me go to my big board of common games, which is only a page or 2 deeper in here. Strength of victory, yes, they did beat the Seahawks, but the Bucs
beat the Seahawks?
The Bucs also beat the Arizona Cardinals, and the Carolina Panthers did not. So that's the big swing. They're a game behind in strength of victory or in common opponent tiebreaker, which is the 4th one down the line after overall record, head-to-head division record. So if you get in the weeds of tiebreakers, that ain't where you want to be for the Carolina Panthers. You want to take care of your own business. So get that game Sunday again. The easiest way to do this, if the Carolina Panthers win their last 3 games, they're in the playoffs.
Right, just win.
Just
win, baby.
Just win them all, and that way I don't have to do no more math, and I think that's a benefit to everybody. So it's all right here on the paper. It's all on the computer screen at Panthers.com if you want that in a digestible printed form. We've got it there for you, so enjoy all that. But we got a lot of stuff coming up. I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see how this comes together. Of course, there are subplots aplenty. Baker Mayfield, yep, he used to play here. He sure did. That's going to be a thing people are talking about all week. Oh,
Sam Darnold?
The week after that, Sam Darnold, yep, he used to play here too. That's going to be a thing we're going to get all into. I think the world of both of those young men. They were in some difficult situations, not like what's going on right here, right now, in the past when they were here, and didn't work out for them for a lot of reasons that weren't entirely their fault. Some were, but both playing high-level football over the course of the last couple of years. It's going to be challenging, but the challenge is what you want.
Mm-hmm. That's what DB said last night. He was like, this is the grind. This is what we've been doing all year. It's going to take every bit of grit we got, and this is when you love it.
It's like doing longhand math. It's hard, but it's worth it. When you know you come to the answer, you find out whether it's valuable or not. And this was, because finding out the exact ways this thing's all going to come together, we do it for you, the readers, because we care about you, because you're like family. Hey, speaking of family, Uncle Phil, how about my guy? He almost pulled one off last night, Phillip Rivers.
Oh, I was so
I'm here
confused.
doing it for the old people everywhere. And when I saw Phil rolling around out there, and that's not a commentary on his physique, he is undoubtedly sore today. After playing his first football game in 5 years and then getting on a cross-country flight, there ain't enough Advil to put in that man today to make him feel right. And he's going to be in ice up to about his neck for the next couple days. I imagine by Wednesday he'll be practicing again because he's starting again this week. So
they said something on Scott Van Pelt last night that I thought was fitting, because we didn't know how yesterday's game was going to go with him, and it was either SVP or Hasselbeck. One of them said, he didn't lose them the game, and he kept them in a position to have a chance to win it. Mm-hmm. And you didn't know if that was even going to be the case. There was a chance he went out there yesterday and embarrassed himself, but he didn't do that. He gave them a chance to win it. He didn't lose it for them. That's good news if you're the Colts. You can roll with that for a few more weeks.
That's right. So,
and in a position against one of the better teams in the NFL at one of the toughest places to play in the NFL. So, yeah.
Here's the moral of the story. If you've got a choice to choose between a brand new thing and an old thing that you've seen before, what do you pick?
I know what you want me to say.
The thing you've seen before, the thing you know, the thing you trust. You go with old things because old things will not let you down. Like longhand math, like Phillip Rivers. By the way, what's your favorite Christmas song?
Ooh, probably Darling Love, Baby Please Come Home.
The correct answer is Elvis Presley's Blue Christmas. Oh. So always trust the old things, whether it's...
Darling Love is an old song.
Yeah, but you were going Mariah Carey or something on
No,
me
I
there,
love
so.
that Darlene Love song. I'm going to look up when it came out.
At any rate, so we'll sing holiday songs. We'll sing Christmas carols the rest of the month while we're here in the office. Because, like Dave Canella said, this is the business we've chosen. Actually, he didn't say that. That's from Godfather. But if Dave Canales was a gangster, that's what he would have said. He is not. He's a wholesome family man. He just knows this is the time of year you got to lock in because you know what? It's playoff time, and it's all on the line for the Carolina Panthers. We'll have it all broken down for you here at Panthers.com. Keep it locked on the website, on the app. See us on the YouTube page for all the video updates. We'll keep you posted. She'll be over here looking up songs.
My song came out before his.
Yeah, whatever.
Mine is older.
Yeah, not if you're going Mariah Carey on me.
I
So
wasn't.
anyway, that'll take care of us for this edition. We will see you on later on this week on the Happy Half Hour. We'll get down into the weeds of this Bucs matchup and see what we're going to expect Sunday right here at Bank of America Stadium, where it's not going to be freezing cold, so you have no excuse not to join us. We'll see y'all then.